Am I the a-hole? I, 39 female, lied to my brother, 41 male, about my financial situation because I don't want to help him. My husband, 41 male, is a farmer while my brother works in IT. He and his wife, 41 female, always talk about his cute little farm and have never visited it or asked further questions about it. It's not exactly a cute little farm. It's rather two separate larger businesses with several employees which he manages, and in which he also both works manually, to get a break from paperwork he hates. There are also properties he is renting out. I never talked or explained any of that to my brother. He never asked, and both he and his wife have made several comments that showed he is looking down on my husband. Never to my husband's face though, if it helps. I am also cautious around my sister-in-law who has a bit of a spending problem, and my brother who always enables her. If you look from the outside, we seem like a normal middle-class couple. There is nothing fancy about our cars, home, or activities. So, things went to a head last year for the first time, got resolved, and are bad again now. My brother and his wife own a home and have a kid, 4 female. Due to excessive spending, like 2 new cars per year, 5 vacations in star resorts each year, etc., they are financially in trouble. My brother asked me if I could help with the utilities or the mortgage, and told me he might lose his home. I lied and told him I wouldn't be able to. Mostly because of their comments about my husband, I didn't and don't want to help. Also, part of me thinks that if they sold their still brand new cars and would buy used ones instead, or even stop the constant vacations, there wouldn't be any problems at all, due to the amount he is asking for. I feel like an a-hole though, as A, it's not my place to judge where they put their money, and B, we could pay off their home and cars and it wouldn't even put a dent in our financial situation. But I still don't want to. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. My brother and his wife own a home and have a kid, 4 female. Due to excessive spending, 2 new cars per year, 5 vacations in star resorts each year, etc., they are financially in trouble. That's another reason not to help them. What makes you think they wouldn't just spend the money and come back asking for more? Not the a-hole. I'm actually sure they wouldn't change any of that. Just the way they talk about it being a necessity, while looking down on a lot of people. No one is entitled to your money. Tell them it's not in your budget, and that's it. Not the a-hole. I just realized how brilliantly simple this line is. Of course it is not in my budget. I don't have any budget allocations for brother's mortgage, or brother's 2 cars per year, or brother's vacations. So, it is not in my budget is always true. Not the a-hole. But rather than say I can't help you, I would feel very comfortable putting that back on them. How do you expect us to help when we just have a nice little farm? Didn't you take a really expensive vacation recently? Not the a-hole for not helping, but if you don't ever call them on their behavior, then the behavior won't change. Yes, probably. But every hint of criticism has been met with heavy pounding and blowouts, etc. It's just not worth the fight. We live on opposing ends of the country and only meet face-to-face during holidays. So I always thought that would not be worth the trouble. Not the a-hole. Even if you can't afford to loan money, it's a bad idea. I doubt it would be alone. His wife gives the impression that spending money is an Olympic routine she is competing in. In the past, there have been several minor instances where we paid for smaller items and they always forget to repay or chip in, etc. Even when we were invited to a restaurant, we ended up paying because they had an emergency / forget their wallet, etc. Yeah, I wouldn't enable this nonsense. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents they have to move out? I, 30 female, and my husband, 32 male, own our home. We bought it about 3 years ago, and it is our first home. We love our house. We are both introverted, and I have very bad anxiety, so having a nice peaceful home is an absolute must. We both work hectic jobs and I work nights, so our schedules can be very stressful sometimes and our home is our only chill space. We also have a daughter who is in school. About a year and a half ago, we asked my parents to move in with us. They were wanting to relocate and we were needing help with our daughter on the days she was not in school. The arrangement made was supposed to be that they would stay with us about 6 months while they found a place to live, and would watch our daughter when she was out of school in return. We were also promised that they would help contribute to groceries and bills and other household needs. This was all discussed in full before they moved in. Well, that was 1.5 years ago now. For the first 4 months, everything was going great. We all got along, they helped out, they respected our home, and it was really nice having them around. However, starting month 5 to 1.5 years, things have went downhill at a rapid rate. They do not help with anything around the house. Cleaning, dishes, bills, groceries, nothing. They also create chaos. My mom doesn't work and is home all day every day. Still, she will not watch our daughter, so we had to find another babysitter. When my dad is home, they sleep all day, and then are up all hours of the night cooking food for themselves, doing their laundry, taking showers, etc. They make so much noise that they end up waking our daughter up multiple times a night. We have had multiple conversations about them needing to find their own place, but they just ignore it or start yelling. Everything has gotten to a point where I am constantly anxious, having panic attacks, fighting a lot with my husband, and having to clean up after them like teenagers. It all came to a head on Thanksgiving, when my daughter asked a question and my mom started yelling at her. My husband got very mad and told them they need to move out and do it soon. My husband and I had been talking about 2 days prior about me finding a way to tell them to move out after the holidays. But after everything that happened that night, it all unfortunately came out on Thanksgiving. I think my parents expected me to go against my husband and tell them they can stay, but I stand with my husband. Our lives have been a mess for the past 1.5 years, and most problems have been rooted in stuff they did. I told them they have to move out and soon. So, am I the a-hole? I forgot to clarify that they are both in their mid-50s and of sound mind and body. Not the a-hole. They can have their own place to be as loud as they want, or they have to respect your agreements and boundaries. It's hard with parents, but at a certain age, the roles reverse. Actually, it happens over time, but you get the point. Sounds like you are at the beginning of the phase. Top comment is right though. They either have to respect you or leave. Not that elders don't deserve any kind of care, respect, or anything like that, but age doesn't give you permission for not respecting the boundaries of others, especially not when it can be so exhausting, like for OP. Not the a-hole for supporting your husband. A bit the a-hole for letting it go on this long. I let it go on this long because I didn't want to ruin the relationship with my parents. I can see how I am the a-hole though, because it caused a lot of stress on my marriage, and my husband doesn't deserve that at all. I believe you have the best of intentions, but what you're putting your own family through for the sake of your parents is quite unfair. I hope you get them out before this permanently damages your marriage. I totally agree. It is very unfair. My husband and daughter are my life, and no one comes before them. It took me way longer to open my eyes to what was going on than it should have. I swept issues under the rug to save myself stress, but in return, I put stress on my marriage and my husband and daughter. I am very aware of all of this now, and I'm trying to make sure my husband and daughter are not going to be put under any more stress from all of this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not comforting my wife after my daughter told her she's not her mom? I have 3 children, 15, 11, and 3. My 35 partner, 28, and I have been together for 10 years. We have 50-50 custody of the 2 eldest. Nearly 4 years ago, we had a rough patch and a one-night stand is what led to my youngest being born. We've got full custody, but my wife is all she knows as her mother. All children call my wife their mom. She's a great parent. She got the eldest into gymnastics and swimming. She does their homework with them, and they're really close. It's nice to see. It's hard to explain exactly how she's a good parent. She just is. We found out we were expecting 8 months ago, and this caused our youngest to start acting out. Nursery teachers told us it was completely normal for young children to regress when big news happens. 7 months into our pregnancy, we lost the baby. It upsets me, but it's completely devastated my wife. She acts like everything's normal, but she's crying herself to sleep. I don't have the emotional bandwidth anymore. I'm exhausted. We just lost a child, not just her. I'd been trying to get ready for work while my wife got the youngest ready, and I guess we were having a rough morning because I heard my youngest tell my wife, "You're not my mom. You don't love me?" Obviously not exact wordings. It's not the first time she's told my wife this. We don't even know how the youngest knows this. I went to work, and when I came back, the eldest told us that my wife dropped the youngest off at nursery and then locked herself in our room, and apparently had been crying for a few hours then left. I messaged her and got told, "Thanks for helping me this morning. I'm staying at my mother's. I'm not in the mood to help with your child at the moment since you don't help me or tell her I'm her mother." Youngest deserves to know her background. We've tried to explain to her stepmother, etc., but she's young. She'll understand when she's older. I explained that I had work. She's handled it before, but I've been left on red. I apologized. Didn't realize she was so unhappy, but said that at the end of the day, youngest lost her sibling too, and it's been a difficult transition. We're looking into family counseling. I did say I'd appreciate her not having eldest witness her being this upset next time, as she's still a child. If I've left any info out, so I'll answer. Hands are greasy and it's hard to type. It was a casual morning. She usually handles getting them ready, and we've had issues like this before that she's handled. Honestly, sometimes hearing things like this has become white noise now, because I know my wife can handle it when I've got to work. Edit. The reason I say not to be as upset in front of my eldest is because eldest went to her biological mom and told her she was worried about her mom, my wife, which I don't think is fair. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Downplaying your cheating, and downplaying your wife's trauma, and blaming her for not being entirely composed after she had a late-term miscarriage? Have you always been so selfish and neglectful? Your wife is so obviously struggling with a serious depressive crisis, and you're just completely neglecting that. I'm wondering at all your other delightful behaviors. You're the a-hole. That's not even considered a late-term miscarriage. At that point, it's considered a stillbirth. She would have still had to give birth, which just adds more trauma. You're the a-hole. You had to work, and you don't appreciate having your eldest witness her being upset? You have got a lot of gall. She is raising your affair baby. She has lost her bio child, and your affair baby screaming at her about not being her mom and she doesn't love her. And the best excuse you can come up with is you had to work. And it's happened before, so no big deal? I noticed you used the phrase, I guess we were having a rough morning. Nah, dude, you were having a fine morning, while your wife is getting screamed at by your affair baby. And you don't appreciate your eldest witnessing her be upset? Why not? Being upset after an emotionally trying day is completely normal. Maybe instead of lecturing her via text, you should ask what you could do to help. You should hope your wife forgives you. You should beg for forgiveness, because you don't sound like a very nice partner, with the affair baby and telling your wife how she's allowed to act. Edit. Holy smokes. I just saw the comment about how y'all were only separated for a month when you got another woman pregnant. How in the hell did you manage to find this absolute saint of a woman and keep her this long? You may have lost her this time, and if so, you have only yourself to blame. It's not the children's responsibility to bear witness to their parents' moods. It's not their responsibility to be stressed about how their parent feels. And I'm sorry, I grew up in a household with a depressed dad, and I feel very strongly about my children not seeing that. And you don't appreciate your eldest witnessing her be upset? Why not? It's self-preservation, nothing more. He doesn't want his kids to realize what kind of trashy father they have, and all their problems in the family was brought home by him. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving anyone my earrings in my will? Context. When I was young, I was given a pair of handmade gold earrings from my grandmother. She died when I was 12. I still wear them to this day. So I, 30 female, have cancer. It's one of the most survivable ones, so I'm trying not to be too worried. To be on the safe side though, I decided I would update my will just in case something were to happen. I left the house to my husband, 30 male, and divided my money 3 ways to go to him, my daughter, 5 female, and my sister, 29 female. However, when my sister found my will, she was livid. That was because I had said that if I were to die, I would like to be buried with my earrings as they are very special to me. My sister said that she should get the earrings after I die to be close to me. I don't want to give it to her though. It was given to me as a gift and holds sentimental value. I even got my ears pierced again so that I wouldn't have to swap out the earrings. I told her that it was mine and she wouldn't get it, to which she ran to our mom. My mom is telling me to give it to her while I'm still alive, since my sister is already scared for me and doesn't need the stress. I don't want to, but I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole if I told her no. Am I? Edit to clear some stuff up. 1. The earrings are not heirlooms. They were a gift made solely for me. 2. My sister did not like my grandmother. She even refused a necklace our grandma got her because she thought it was too ugly. 3. My daughter has many other earrings, necklaces, rings, and other jewelry I'm getting for her. 4. I'm thinking about finishing the other half-finished set and giving it to my daughter, but it's really expensive, so I'm not sure. 5. I have thyroid cancer, but luckily it was caught early, and I'm undergoing treatment, so please don't worry. Edit number 2. 1. My sister went snooping and found my will in my office. I was leaving her only $20,000 if I were to pass. 2. My daughter has way more money than my sister. She'll get $1.3 million after my death. I made it so that she wouldn't get the money too young and live a normal life. 3. My husband has a very good job. It makes $200,000 a year, so I'm not worried he won't be able to manage. 4. I am seriously considering removing my sister completely after her BS. 5. I don't talk to my daughter much about my cancer because I don't want her to think of me as sick. So we try to fill up her life with happy memories. 6. Again, my earrings are not heirlooms. They were made for me and me alone. 7. The house is going to my daughter. If me and my husband were to die, she'll be inheriting the house as soon as she turns 21. Your mom thinks it's more important to accommodate your sister than to respect the wishes of her possibly dying daughter? I would remove my sister from my will altogether if she pulled something like this. Our relationship would be permanently damaged, not the a-hole. Edit, I don't get all the people telling Opie it's a waste to be buried with the earrings. Where's your empathy? She's a young woman who is dealing with the possibility of dying. That's horrendous. She's trying to cope with it, and it doesn't matter that it seems irrational to us. If planning on being buried with them brings her even a hint of comfort, it isn't a waste. You think her daughter wants to discover that her mom was pressured out of something that comforted her as she was struggling, so she could get a pair of earrings? Not the a-hole, and I'd tell sister, okay, I'm changing the will. You get nothing. Picking over my bones while I'm still using them is some rude nonsense. If I do decide to give the earrings to someone, they will go to my daughter. Either way, you aren't getting anything. This reminds me of the argument I use with my kid. Kid asks if he can have 4 cookies. I say no, he can have 2. He whines and wants 3. I say it can be 0. He then happily agrees to 2. Am I the a-hole for not congratulating my sister-in-law on her planned pregnancy and telling her she's making a mistake instead? My brother works as a car rental agent and his salary is not livable at all. His wife is a stay-at-home mom for their 4-year-old, so he's the sole provider. And he's been receiving a fixed sum from both my mom and other sister to keep things afloat. I also helped a few times when I could. Some time ago, my sister-in-law told me she wanted another child because she didn't want their son to be an only child and asked me what I think. I advised her against it and told her to either wait till my brother gets promoted or till she gets a job. I told her it would be realistically impossible to provide for another child when you're barely coasting by and that she was still young, 27-year-old. I also told my brother the same thing. About 3 weeks ago, my brother calls me all happy and tells me his wife is pregnant. I told him, great, I wish you good luck, and soon hang up. I never called sister-in-law to congratulate her, nor went over to their place for the baby shower. Just told them I was busy. Yesterday, we had dinner at our parents' house and I inevitably met my sister-in-law. She told me, I'm pregnant, with an excited tone. I told her, yeah, I know, that's great, I wish you good luck. She then said, so that's it? I asked her what she meant and she said, aren't you happy for us? I told her my feelings are irrelevant here and their decision is up to them. She told me of course they matter and begged me to please honestly tell her what I think. So, I told her I frankly think you're making a mistake and this innocent child is going to suffer the consequences of your selfishness. You are not ready to care for another little life when you can't even pay your bills. How long do you think my mom and sister are gonna support you? She interrupted me and said, what the hell? That's none of your freaking business. I only ask you out of politeness, but you really didn't hold back at all. I told her, you're the one who told me to be honest. She said, I told you to be honest with me, not be a douche. She then called me an a-hole and went off to complain to my brother. I didn't want to entangle with them and just grabbed my purse and left. Sometime later, my mom calls me fuming and tells me I had no right to make any comment whatsoever. She said I should have congratulated them properly and left it at that. That, even if she was the one who asked for my opinion, I should have known better than to hurt her with those words. I also think my words might have been pretty hurtful and I went too far. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. This might be unpopular later, but not the a-hole. Maybe you should have been kinder or phrased it better. I don't know, because I don't know what you said, but she shouldn't be sheltered from the truth when she literally asked for it. We can go through life expecting family to cater to our feelings, but then their advice and opinions really mean nothing. Who wants to surround themselves with yes men saying whatever they want to hear? Personally, I value my dad's opinion more than others because I know he will be honest and call me out. She asked for your opinion, got mad when you gave it. Full stop. You were not the a-hole. Not only asked, but had previously heard OP's opinion/advice, then sought OP out and pressed the issue, as if to get validation for herself. What was she expecting here? Not the a-hole. You would have been if you had mentioned it when you first got a call giving you the news. But you didn't until she cornered you and told you to be honest. So you were. That's what I found interesting too, that she already knew OP's opinion, yet pushed her to give it again. It's like she either wanted to start drama or she was delusional in hoping that OP had changed her mind, even though none of their circumstances had changed. Not the a-hole. I never understand people who does not have enough money even for one person, and then they marry and make 2+ kids and they have no money. Some people lose their rational thinking capability when the topic comes to kids. If you cannot live with one wage with 3 people and you get support from the family, you cannot live with 4 people. Not the a-hole. Don't give them money anymore, even if you can afford to do so. Yes, this exactly. Yeah, or at least don't give until brother picks up his second job and is looking to improve his lot and sister-in-law. And make it clear that all help will end if they have another kid. They need to feel the consequences of their choices before help can be considered, so they won't be tempted to do it again. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister nobody was interested in her PhD research? My sister, 34 female, and I, 31 female, come from a working-class family. Nobody in our family is higher than a high school education, save for us. I have a bachelor's and my sister is currently working on her PhD. Obviously, we're both proud of this, but my sister often brags to an extent that many in our family find uncomfortable or discouraging, and she talks down to people around her. When she began her program, she explained it in very technical terms that confused our aunt. When she was asked to clarify, my sister made a fuss about how it was so easy for her to understand, and she forgets that not everyone can wrap their heads around it. It's been an issue since she started her master's, and I've admittedly been at my wit's end with her for quite a while. I hosted Thanksgiving this year. When we were eating, my sister was asked about her research, and she went on a long, complicated spiel about her work. She was missing context, pulling out every 10-cent word, getting super technical and under-explaining every concept. She talked for about 10 minutes straight, barely pausing for questions or comments. It dominated conversation. Eventually, I interrupted her and tried asking our dad about his work. My sister interrupted him and said she wasn't finished, then continued talking. I told her I was finished listening to her and that she could talk all she wanted but she'd need to do it in another room. She made some comments about my hosting and continued on. I stopped her again and told her that nobody was interested and she needed to be quiet, which she did. It was, admittedly, extremely awkward and quiet, and my husband decided to just plow on and make conversation with an aunt of mine. After that, conversation carried on as usual with my sister being very, very quiet. Afterwards, our parents scolded me for being rude but said my sister was being over the top. But I should have just let her talk. A few of our other relatives thanked me for cutting her off. Her fiance called me yesterday morning and said I embarrassed my sister and made her feel ashamed. He implied I was jealous of her success and asked me to formally apologize to her. I said I'd apologize to her, but I wouldn't mean it, and he hung up on me. I've thought it over and I can see how my approach was wrong, but I genuinely did not see any other option at a time. Always willing to learn though, and seeking a new perspective. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister nobody was interested in her PhD research? Everyone sucks here. Your sister needs to know how to explain her doctoral work to a lay audience, if she has any hope of passing her dissertation committee. She also needs to learn how to craft an elevator sentence. She also needs to learn how to take a hint gracefully. You, on the other hand, need to stop being jealous of her success. Conscious of it or not, jealousy and resentment oozes out of this entire post. Regardless of how long she droned on and how rude it was for her to stop you from talking with your dad, the general core of this post isn't really centered on that, but your overall worldview on her academic career. Also, I hope the sister continued to brag about her PhD research, so other girls know that they can also get a PhD. Females should not be shy about their achievements. My problem is that she has never been this supportive of my achievements. She tells me constantly we aren't on the same level. and assures me it's okay, but makes backhanded remarks about my intelligence and level of education. I think it's great she's getting a PhD and I'm glad she's proud of it, but that pride doesn't need to be at everyone else's expense in my opinion. Then you need to correct her. She's your sister. Should be easy to say. What you just said is insulting and hurts my feelings. Please learn to be more tactful. I'm an especially frank person. My sister dyed her hair red one time and asked me how it looks. And I said I don't like the red, and it makes her look like the Wendy's girl. And she responded with, I am looking for compliments, and not criticism to make me feel bad. Now I know to lie and say, it's not bad, if I hate it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling every morning? My son is a 20-month-old toddler. My wife is a stay-at-home mom. I work 6 days a week and I'm usually gone for 12 hours a day. I always check in on my son remotely via our nursery cam app and is always awake in the morning around 8. He has a great sleep routine. Our wind-down time starts at the same time every evening. We clean up toys, read a book. When I lay him down, he's still awake. He falls asleep on his own and sleeps all night for at least 12 hours. It's usually after 9 before I have a chance to check the camera. This morning, when I checked, it was 9:12 and some mornings are closer to 10. Every time I look though, he's always in the dark and standing in his crib just waiting. When I see this, I immediately turn on the brightest night light the camera has and speak to him through the camera app. I always tell him good morning and I love him, and he usually laughs and says dada. Then, I leave the app, call my wife to wake her up. I usually have to call 3 to 4 times, and when she finally answers, it's obvious that she just woke up. And only because I called. I tell her that our son is awake waiting for her and that she needs to get up to start their day. This morning while on the phone, I asked her if she was going to get him after using the bathroom, and she said no. She was going to the kitchen to prepare their breakfast and then she'd get him. I asked her to get him after the bathroom so he could go to the kitchen with her, and she flipped out. She told me it angers her that I call every morning to tell her how to be a mom and that she has a routine. I retorted with, well, your routine sucks because he's been awake for an hour and you'd still be asleep if I hadn't called. It just bothers me that he has to wait so long. He needs a diaper change. He's probably thirsty, hungry, and just wants to play. Am I wrong though? Do I need to stop? Please be completely honest with your answers. Thanks. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. I cannot imagine being a micromanaged mom like that. Remotely. Wow. Is your son crying? No? Then it's fine. If he's uncomfortable, he will call for his mom. The kid is not going to cry if it's been normalized that he needs to wait in his crib for 1 to 2 hours. Not the a-hole. Totally agree with this. 1 to 2 hour wait is just sad. I hated reading this post. Your wife is a negligent mother. It is sad, not the a-hole. She sounds lazy. Or like she has postpartum. You're the a-hole. Firstly, let's start with the fact that your kid is now into toddler range as opposed to infant. Your kid can manage a few moments alone in their crib and will still cry if they need any worthwhile attention. Secondly, let's say she took the toddler with her while preparing the food. Your kid is now learning escape methods. Getting into crap, cause mischief stage. Let her get the food ready first. Thirdly, best intentions aside, if my husband was micromanaging my mothering, I'd blow a gasket from stress alone. Moms need what sanity remains to us, especially before entertaining a toddler for hours. Fourthly, there was zero indication of why you thought your son was up for an hour, which makes me think it wasn't necessarily true so much as you just wanted to add spice to the insult you slung at your wife. You chose her to be the mother of your child. Now let her do her job in peace. He clearly states that his son usually is awake by 8, and mom doesn't come get him until past 9, sometimes as late as 10. That's not a few moments. Last story. Am I the a-hole for storming out of my wedding reception after sister-in-law's speech? I, 26 male, got married to my wife, 32 female this weekend. The ceremony went great and the reception was going well. Just after we ate, my father-in-law and best man spoke, then my sister-in-law. All was going smoothly until she brought up an awful time in my life. A little background. During COVID, I lost most of my savings on the business I had unluckily opened in October of 2019. I was also dealing with bad gastrointestinal problems and horrible IBS. I felt horrible, like I had no hope, and getting my life back in order would take forever. Friends who had been a part of my business left due to the failure, and others due to the medical problems. My fiancé was the only one who supported me and gave me hope. She helped me rebuild my self-esteem and eventually my business, and I cannot thank her enough. When I was at my lowest, I wrote an emotional note about these feelings and went into detail about all the horrible things I felt both emotionally and physically. I also wrote about how she was my strength and kept me afloat. I told my wife about writing my thoughts but never showed her the note. Midway through sister-in-law's speech, I saw her unfold this dreaded note and start to read it to the audience. Not just the part about my wife, but a full paragraph before it, where I described how hopeless I felt and the details of my darkest moments from my toughest battles with IBS. I was so embarrassed. My sister-in-law started to cry as she got through the part about my wife and went on to say she never knew how bad it was, but knew our love would overcome anything. I got red in the face, stormed out to the back of the venue and lit up a cigarette, which I haven't had in years. Some family members ran out, but I told them I needed to be alone. I came back after a bit. Everyone was eating and dancing, but I was still getting stares and I just felt horrible. My wife comforted me, but we didn't really talk it through since she was entertaining family and whatnot. After the party, I brought it up with my sister-in-law. I told her I felt violated that she would somehow get a hold of that note and not only read it, but share it with everyone. I said it hurt because the memory of the wedding certainly felt tainted by the speech and my reaction. She told me she wanted to share a beautiful image of our love. I didn't see anything wrong with it. That it reminded her of when her smoothie business failed and it gave her hope. She even told me it was a toxic coping mechanism to repress those feelings and be ashamed of them. I felt like the conversation was going nowhere, and we didn't speak for the rest of the night. It hasn't helped that distant family and friends have been recommending IBS treatments to me. My wife agrees with me, but thinks sister-in-law had good intentions. I told her she's an a-hole regardless for not even checking with me. Sister-in-law hasn't reached out to apologize yet. And I heard from mother-in-law she thinks I'm overreacting and trying to villainize her. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I am trying to respond to each one as soon as I can. Just want to say here that my wife did not know where the note was. I never even told her specifically about the note, just that I like to journal my thoughts and feelings. Info. Why are you not more concerned with where sister-in-law would have gotten the note, if not from your wife? Who else even knew about it? This. Sounds like the wife was in on it, which is why she's going on about sister-in-law's good intentions. Sorry about the late response. I replied to another comment earlier, but it may have moved to the bottom. My wife did not know the note existed, only that I journaled my thoughts during those dark times. I do have a theory though. Too much info warning. My IBS usually fluctuated a lot. During the times of constipation, I found that nicotine and coffee made me go. Weird, I know, but whatever works. As I tried to quit cigarettes, I started smoking more THC hemp/weed. We live in a legal state, with some tobacco mixed in to help with bowel movement. I used to journal when I smoked and usually kept my notes in my little weed bag. I had a sneaking suspicion sister-in-law's a smoker too, and maybe she found a bag. I haven't touched the bag since I got a new e-cigarette electronic THC pen last year, so I wouldn't have noticed anything missing. I'm sure the note could have fallen out too since we reorganized our house this summer, and a lot of things got mixed up. Just a theory. Okay, so not only did your sister-in-law publicly humiliate you at your own wedding, but it's very likely she roots through your private possessions and straight up just steals things from you? There's a lot of boundaries being violated here. She clearly doesn't respect you, your privacy, your property, or your consent. She's unquestionably in the wrong, and you probably shouldn't let her in your house or have access to anything else you own. My childhood best friend wants me to break up with my boyfriend so she can date him. I, 22 female, know my best friend 21 female since we were 4. We were like sisters, always together, doing everything together. Since our parents are friends, we could hang out every weekend. She was pretty and always with the best clothes, and her style is awesome. So when we were in high school, she had all the boys begging to go on a date with her. I used to get very insecure with myself when I was around her, but I don't blame her for anything. It's not her fault she's beautiful. But whenever I gave her a hint I was liking someone, she would say how I had no chance with them, that I should give up, and then after some time, she would date them for some time. I never had any boy wanting something with me. I always had to hear ew when someone mentioned dating me. I met my boyfriend 23 male last year in April. We were really good friends. I never introduced him to my best friend because I didn't want her to take all his attention. I was liking him in the beginning. Then after some time he asked me out and we are dating for 6 months now. 2 weeks ago my friend and I had a sleepover at her house and she caught me texting my boyfriend on my phone. She asked me who he was and I told him he's my boyfriend. She laughed and asked me since when I had a boyfriend. I didn't want to give her too much details about my relationship. So I just told her we've been dating for 6 months now and I talked about something else so we could end that conversation. Apparently, that night when I went to sleep, she grabbed my phone. She knew my password because when her phone was dying and she wanted to call someone, she would pick it up. And she went to his Instagram where he got her user and texted him. She never told me anything. I just found out when my boyfriend sent me a screenshot and asked who she was. I was shocked by the messages she sent. There were things like, "Hey, are you Opie's boyfriend? You look really nice. Are you sure you date her?" She even commented in a picture he took at a gym, saying how hot he looks when he's sweaty. My boyfriend wasn't happy about that. He thought I gave her his user, but I explained I didn't, and I started crying like the little baby I am. I told him how she always dated every boy I liked, and how insecure I get when she's around. He comforted me and kept telling me that I shouldn't worry about her. He doesn't care about her. I trust him, and after some time, I just decided to ignore what happened. After an hour, she texted me, "Did your boyfriend tell you anything? Did you ask him to block me?" He blocked her, and I didn't even know that. She said that I'm being the jealous girlfriend type. I explained I never asked him to block her, but she didn't believe me. She made 3 fake accounts to text him. I know, because he told me everything. It even showed me all the texts where she was texting him multiple times. He was leaving her on red and blocking her after some time. After the 3rd account she made, she came into my house and complained that he doesn't talk to her. I said she was flirting with him, and she knows I date him. Obviously, I was extremely mad at her, but I was trying to act cool, because I was really tired and didn't want to start an argument. She told me that my boyfriend is exactly her type. She loves how he looks, and she needs him. I couldn't believe what she was saying. I thought it was some kind of joke, but it wasn't. Then she said, "He is perfect for me. He is so handsome, and he has nice muscles. I wonder if he has abs." This is when I lost my temper and told her to stop flirting with him or complimenting these things since he is my boyfriend. She called me mean and an a-hole, yelled at me saying he is her type, and I should break up with him because I'm wasting his time and he could be with someone better, aka her. After some time, she started crying telling me if I were her friend, I would break up with him, saying I'm choosing him over her. He is her type and she wants me to break up with him, but I love him. I can't do something like that. I used to not care when she got the other boys I liked because I didn't have anything to do with them, but now it's my boyfriend. My first boyfriend. The only one who showed some interest on me for who I am. I don't know what to do about her, but I know I won't break up with him. I told him everything she said and he is mad like I am. I'm just tired of her. I don't know what to do. Should I end a 10+ years friendship? Now for the top comments. Do you even like her? Or did you become friends with her because your parents are friends? In the beginning, we were good friends. She was nice before, but she changed a lot since we entered high school. Why are you still friends with her? Exactly this, OP. She is not your friend. She demeans you. She's trying to steal your boyfriend. She calls you names. Why need enemies with friends like her? End a relationship. I promise you, coming from someone who recently ended a friendship with someone who was not a good person or friend, you will feel so much lighter and happier. Trust me. I kept her friendship for so long because when I tried to get away from her, my parents and her parents were putting pressure on me to talk to her again. That's not a friend. She wants to one-up you all the time. Must be exhausting to have to be around her when all she does is nag and bring OP down. It's not even that this friend tries to one-up her all the time. The friend actively insults her, tries to take anything OP wants away from her, and goes behind her back to try to flirt with OP's boyfriend. This friend has some serious issues, and is stomping all over OP like she isn't even a person. Screw this friend. Next story. I have just been betrayed by the 2 people I trusted most, and I don't know what to feel anymore. Plus update. Original post. I'm sorry if this is annoying. I can't stop thinking about it. And for some reason, I feel more secure venting it to strangers rather than people who know me and can judge me more in depth. I won't lie, I have been suspecting my fiancé was having an affair, but I didn't have any solid evidence to accuse him. Even then, I had a feeling that I didn't want to dig any deeper because I was scared that what I was suspecting was true. 12 days ago, I came home from visiting my mom's and I headed upstairs to wake my fiancé as he had a habit of sleeping in way past 2 p.m. and then complained that I didn't wake him up. I opened the door, and all I see is my practically naked sister rushing to try and get out of a lingerie bodysuit that belonged to me. I don't know how to explain it, but my mind just went blank. Like whatever I was thinking about beforehand suddenly disappeared. You know, when you stand up too fast and your head just gets a little dizzy? That's what I felt, alongside a feeling of sickness brewing in my stomach. I stood there for a solid 30 seconds, looking at the two people I trusted the most look more shocked than I felt. My fiancé jumped out of bed and suddenly came up with excuses. It went from "it was an accident" to "I was lonely and needed relief." I probably should add that my best friend ended herself 2 weeks ago. The girl I knew for over 15 years was suddenly out of my life. And even though I'm surrounded by people, I've told my fiancé about how alone, devastated, and guilty that I couldn't do anything to help her. I just left. I didn't take my car because at that point my eyes were about to just started flooding. I walked to my friend's house about 10 minutes away and confided in her about what happened. The amount of grief I felt from not only losing a best friend, but losing my relationships with my fiancé and sister within the same 2-week period. Now that I'm sitting down to write this, I don't know if any of these relationships will ever be mended or could ever go back to the way they were. I don't understand why my sister of all people would do this. There was never any favoritism toward any of us for her to feel spite. I have never intentionally tried to hurt her. I gave her shelter when she had no place to go, and despite her not paying a single penny, I bought her food that she liked, made sacrifices in my own home for her. Hell, she kept ranting about how our living room walls gave her headache as they were painted white, so I took time out of my day to paint it a nice gray color. My fiancé too. I gave that man everything. I was willing to have kids with him despite the fact I always wanted to be child-free. I was going to start a family so that he was happy. I gave him comfort whenever something bad happened to him. I spent hours watching unfunny movies that he seemed to find hilarious. I even gave him a freaking locket with our anniversary photo in that he decided to wear while sticking it in my sister. These last days, I've went from sadness to being angry, then disgusted, and it's a constant cycle I've not been able to get out of. Despite being smoking-free for 2 years, I've picked up a cigarette. I used to be heavily addicted to smoking from 16 to 21. I'm currently 23. There's the moments when I go to do something but automatically lose interest. At even times over dinner, I don't know how to explain it properly as I've never felt this way, but I'm bored of eating. I have to physically force myself to eat something, and I have no idea what's going on to my body at this very moment. For some reason, it feels as if I've went into hibernation. I sleep almost 17 hours a day now, and even for the rest of those hours, I'm still tired and force myself to stay awake. Both of them asked to meet up on Wednesday. My sister's exact message was, "Hey, I know you probably don't want to hear from me right now, but can you meet me at Fiancé? We want to talk and we want you to properly hear us out. The situation you found us in was not the most ideal situation to put you in a good headspace to talk about it right there and then. Please let us explain. I love you, and you're my sister and I don't want to lose you. Please." I think it's too late. It was too late from whenever this affair started or even when you started having desires for my fiancé. I miss my sister, but according to what I saw, the sister I miss and whoever my sister is now are not the same person. I haven't talked to anyone yet except the one friend I'm currently staying with at the moment. I'm scared I'll be seen as a failure of a future wife, but now I don't even think I want to be a wife anymore. But I guess I'd rather share to strangers than people who know me personally. I apologize again. Now for the top advice before reading the update. You have nothing to apologize for, and nothing to be ashamed about. None of this was your fault. You've suffered a horrible betrayal by a family member and a partner. Again, none of this was your fault. To hell with your ex-fiancé. To hell with your sister. No amount of apologies or excuses should smooth over a betrayal of this magnitude. Can you move out to a more permanent location? Can your friend help you pick up your things? Have you considered speaking to your family about this? And again, none of this is your fault. And nobody's going to fault you for not being able to be the best right now. Lean on the other people in your life right now if you can. It's gonna be a bumpy ride, but you can pull through this. Honestly, I've not thought about my plan so far. The house we lived in I inherited from my grandma, so as far as I know, I can kick both of them out. Though I'm not well versed in a lot of legal stuff, so I'm currently trying to take a look at my options in case I need a lawyer or anything like that. As for my family, I haven't said a word yet. I've not really spoken to anyone except the friend I'm currently staying at. I plan to tell them eventually about everything though. I'm just trying to better myself mentally before telling anyone else. Just serve them an eviction notice, then send your family a message or mail that explained what happened, with the messages these two trash sent you as proof. And now for the update. Hi, me again. I'm back in editing the post. At first, I was just going to dump this vent to get it out of my mind, but I want to say thank you for everyone's advice. I guess this counts as a small update? I'm not sure. So far, nothing big has really happened. The friend I'm staying with has offered to come with me to talk to my parents about this, also including my older brother. She's honestly been my rock through this whole situation, and I couldn't ask for a better support system from one person, though I don't plan on putting that on her shoulders since it would be stressful to be the designated support system friend. I'm currently looking into therapy for both my grief and the affair. I'm not well versed legally wise, so I'm currently in the process of looking for a lawyer just so legally I know I'm in the clear in case there's a loophole somewhere. I did contact my sister, and another copy-pasted message I replied, I don't plan on meeting with you on Wednesday. I'll talk to you when I'm ready, and whether it be tomorrow or years from now, it doesn't matter. You both owe me my own time to heal. After the two people I've trusted most went behind my back, betrayed my trust, all under my roof that you both lived rent-free. Bye. I can't lie, I was almost ready to tell her to meet me there, and then when she sent that message, I've realized, and through help of people in the comments that I can't thank enough, that I need time to work on myself mentally rather than repair a long-gone relationship with my sister. No, I don't plan on going back to my ex and never will. Maybe one day I'll hear him out, but today is not a day. As for now, I'm getting ready to try and explain to my parents everything that happened. I don't have any evidence between my ex and sister, however, I do have their messages they sent me that incriminates them. But anyways, thank you for all the advice and kind comments and messages. Have a good day or night. Last story. Turns out my husband lied about his affair being over. I found about the affair 3.5 years ago. I was completely shocked and heartbroken. My husband swore it was a mistake. He said he would end the affair, never have contact with her again, and do anything else to prove to me that he was committed to changing. That he was willing to go to therapy and couples counseling and whatever else it took. I took him back because I loved him and because I thought it would be better for our kids. It was hell, but we got through it. He did go to therapy and we did couples counseling. He put monitoring software on his internet and his phone so I could see everything he was doing. He made sure all his time out of the house was accounted for. He also seemed to be more invested in our marriage and spending time together. Just being more attentive and like it was when we first got married. Even though he never neglected our kids, he was more present with them. He told me that the thought of losing me and not seeing our kids every day was a wake-up call to how stupid and reckless he was. And after almost 2 years, I stopped feeling the need to monitor his phone and know where he was every second he wasn't with me. He was still attentive and things were good. It turns out he never stopped the affair like he said. I caught him again. He just had another phone I didn't know about, and he got creative in finding ways to spend time with her. She knew he was married and had 3 kids before their affair started, and that they had to be extra careful after I caught him the first time. I'm just here to spill my guts, really. I'm not staying again. He made a fool out of me once. We have 2 sons, both aged 13, and a daughter, aged 12, and I have no idea how I'm supposed to break the news of the divorce to them, or to anyone else. Thankfully, I have a job that pays enough to look after me and the kids so I can leave him. It won't be complicated in terms of assets, because we each will get half. The only thing up in the air is child support and custody arrangements. His affair won't be a factor for that, but that's the only thing that isn't certain. Anyways, thanks to anyone who read my word vomit. I'm going to therapy, I think, but for now, this helped. I wouldn't hide his affair from kids. Not in a vengeful way, but most of the time, kids blame the betrayed parent for their divorce as they initiate it. So don't put yourself on fire to hide his affair. I don't know how or what I have to tell them yet. I need to talk to a therapist first. I don't know if they will need one after this, but I don't want to do this the wrong way. Talk to your lawyer as well. If you disclose the affair without talking about them, his lawyer can claim you're trying to alienate them. My lawyer was the one who recommended I talk to a therapist before I tell my sons and daughter. I was going to anyways, but my lawyer has affirmed that decision. There was a case here where the fact that he was forgiven once was a factor on the divorce proceedings being in no fault, instead of because of an affair. I'm just hoping you don't live where that will become an issue for you to regain peace. Hopefully, you and your children will regain that peace you all need. I also believe the kids will need their own therapist to process this, and I hope he pays for that. That is the same case for me. I reconciled with him previously, so I can't use his cheating in the divorce now nor use it to get a better settlement. My divorce will be no fault. Talk to an attorney first. Husband might be hiding money as well, and who knows what he will do financially when he finds out it's over. As a cheater, he has most likely envisioned several exit scenarios for it, / when he is caught. I have hired a lawyer already, and my husband knows he is caught, and that I'm not staying again. He tried to convince me to stay though. Am I the a-hole for exposing my cousin's creepy husband to my entire family? I, 22, female, met my cousin's husband, 24 female and 26 male, last July for their wedding. They live several states away, so in addition to meeting him for the first time, it was also the first time I had seen my cousin in a few years. I instantly got a bad vibe from him, and he made several comments that rubbed me the wrong way. He told me I seemed like a wild child and said he would bet I'm a bad girl at my college. Since meeting him, he has followed me on Instagram and sporadically sends me reels, which I don't open, and comments odd things on my posts like, "Looking good, cousin." He even DM'd me once, "Hey, I'll be in your state this weekend on business, lol," which I never opened either. All of this definitely creeped me out, but I don't feel like I could say anything about it because my cousin and I aren't close, and I've always felt like she looks down on me because she is a devout Christian and I'm not. Fast forward to this week, one of those fake accounts on Instagram popped up with some of my pictures asking for money for private pictures. The bio was in broken English. The pictures were poorly cropped screenshots of my 2 most recent posts, and the Cash App was a random string of numbers and letters. The account just looked very fake, and many of my friends sent it to me and reported the account. Of course, the one person who apparently fell for it was my cousin's husband. I then got a very long, nasty DM from my cousin telling me she had been very tolerant of my sinful lifestyle, whatever that means. But this time, it had gone too far. She said she didn't care that we were family, and so long as I was posing a threat to her marriage, I was no longer welcome in their lives. I calmly and politely responded that this account was not me, and that I had already reported the account to Instagram to be taken down, and I apologized for the apparent disruption to her day. She responded that she didn't believe me and said she pities me for having such low self-esteem and would keep me in her prayers. I lost it at this point. I called her stupid for falling for an account that was so obviously fake, and said that her husband was such a blatant creep. It was embarrassing she even married him. I sent screenshots of the months of DMs from him that I never responded to, and concluded by saying, "If your marriage is so easily threatened, get a divorce. Don't take your insecurities out on me." Shortly after, I got angry phone calls from my mom and my grandma saying my cousin made an honest mistake, and that my response was cruel and unjustified. Apparently, my cousin showed everyone our messages and is humiliated by what I said. My mom is worried our relationship with that side of the family is permanently damaged, and now I may not be welcome at future family gatherings because my grandmama doesn't want the drama. I really don't feel like my response was out of line, but since no one else agrees with me, I'm not sure. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. And no one is saying anything about how the husband tried to get pictures of you or tried to hit you up. Not the a-hole and good riddance. I had a feeling he only told my cousin because he tried to Cash App the account and got nothing. Could be wrong though. Just say something like, "Her husband has been harassing me for months." I didn't tell anyone except her. She's the one spreading it around. I'm disappointed but not exactly surprised that he fell for an internet scam trying to get private photos of me. If she doesn't want to be humiliated, she should tell her husband to stop humiliating her. I will also welcome an apology from them anytime. Anyone who asks me to apologize to her condones his inappropriate behavior and will no longer have a relationship with me. Thanks. But he can't possibly be at fault or in the wrong because he is an honest, devout Christian man. He just succumbed to the evil temptations of women. But he is sorry and he asked for forgiveness. And that makes everything he did completely okay and justifiable. Now, that little harlot of an OP, she dared to have social media accounts that were scammed. See? She's the real sinful nasty one in this scenario. Because she must be casting a temptation spell over her poor cousin's husband's eyes. And that is literally the mentality behind a cousin and her husband sort of thinking. Not the a-hole. Your cousin started the drama by being gullible and dumb, and was a total a-hole to you. She deserves to be called on it, and she will be much better off knowing what her husband is. Then she shared that her husband is a thirsty hornball and says that she's embarrassed. I hope he kept it between the two of them. Cousin embarrassed herself. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to buy my fiancé a gaming laptop for a few grand after he told me to find a real job? My fiancé, male 37, and I, female 30, have started living together 6 months ago. I own a house and he moved in with me. I run online business from home which allows me to live rather comfortably. A month after moving in, he quit his job saying how much he hated it, and that is going to try and do Twitch streaming for a living. I'm all for following your passion, so I was supportive, although surprised at the turn of events. I'm in financial position to support us both, but it felt off. Anyway, nothing happened with his Twitch channel. Sure, he's gaming all day, but hasn't bothered to even try and create an account. He just games for pleasure. It's been 7 months. I've had conversations with him suggesting he finds work, but he keeps telling me that I'm unsupportive and he needs time. He wanted us to buy a bigger house together, but I said that I'm fine with my current one, and that since he doesn't have a job, I don't want to get a mortgage and be left with paying everything. And he told me that if I found a real job, maybe I wouldn't have financial problems. We had a massive argument that night. Now, he's been hinting at needing a new gaming laptop which costs a few grand, and I've been ignoring it, so he asked outright for me to buy it for his birthday. I told him no, that my fake job doesn't cover new laptops, and he got really angry with me, telling me I'm selfish and ruining his career. Granted, I can afford it to buy it, but he really hurt me saying my business is not a real job despite me working myself off. Am I the a-hole for not buying him a new laptop? You sound intelligent. Is the D that good for all that BS? Not the a-hole. Yeah, I was wondering what he brings to the relationship other than entitlement and laziness. OP, not the a-hole. He's taking advantage of you. Yeah, somehow running an online business that provides for the both of them isn't a real job, but starting a gaming career when you're pushing 40 is totally viable. Not the a-hole, but curious as to why you are referring to him as your fiancé and not your ex. It felt off because it is. He showed you exactly who he is. Please believe him and move on. And instead of him worrying about what's in your pockets, he needs to be worried about the fact that nothing is in his. A partner makes deposits, not constant withdrawals. Cut the cord. Not the a-hole. Wow. So he saw you make money with your own business and decided you can be his sugar mama while he follows his dream of being a professional gamer. Yeah, you know what? No. You have a real job. He has no job. And now he's going through some early midlife crisis trying to be some edgy famous gamer. Sorry, but he sounds like he's 19. He'll be 40 soon. He needs a real job, not you. He's not even trying to be a professional gamer. If he doesn't have a streaming account, all he's doing is just gaming. He's being a professional slob. He's being a leech is what he's being. Why do smart women buy this crap? I'll never understand. Pull your weight or GTFO. I'm not your mother/ATM. Sunk costs. They're engaged and sounds like they were before he moved in. Even smart people get taken advantage of, and many people get stuck on fixing things that can't be fixed because they're so far into it and don't want to throw it away, failing to see the other person already has. I'm selfish and ruining his career. LMAO. What career? Not the a-hole. I'm a straight woman, but can I be your new boyfriend? You sound like you're carrying all the weight here, and instead of being happy for you, or even feeling lucky and grateful for being able to just fool around for 7 months and have zero consequences, this dude has become spoiled. Does he do chores around the house at least, or show some form of appreciation? Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for wanting to go somewhere while my wife is almost due? Now, I fully understand how the title sounds, and I've seen posts like this from the wife's point of view. But please hear me out. My wife is really close to giving birth, and we are both super excited to welcome our baby girl into this world. However, the issue is the fact that my 92-year-old grandfather is sick and will most likely pass on in the next week or so. He has been one of the kindest, best, and coolest people I've known, and he had a huge hand in raising me, so I want to fly over there in a couple of days to say goodbye and attend his funeral. My wife feels that this isn't as important than seeing the birth of my daughter should she go into labor while I'm gone. And while I know that the birth is extremely important, but I really want to say goodbye, and this can't wait. So am I the a-hole? Edit. Some of you ask when she's due, and that isn't for around 2 weeks. What I'm thinking of doing now is to take the car this evening. It's a 5-hour drive. Say goodbye tomorrow and come home in the afternoon. I will Zoom for the funeral. Sorry, but you're the a-hole. I empathize with your situation. I just lost my grandmother and I have also given birth. Your wife needs you for support. It's not about watching the baby being born. It's about being there for your wife during a potentially deadly medical event. Given how wonderful your grandfather is, I'm sure he would understand. This she'll push a tiny human out of her. Seem like is the first on top of that. She'll be terrified, in pain, and will want a person she can trust deeply while facing a long, painful, and potentially deadly labor. I get why it's important to you, but if your grandfather is a kind person, I think he would call you mad to even think to let your wife alone. You should video call him and ask him how he feel about that and what he want. You're not the a-hole, but neither is your wife. Try to put yourself in her shoes. How would you feel if the situation was reversed? It's not an easy choice. I'm really sad that you're put in this situation, but for me, your wife should always come first. Even more when it's about the birth of your baby girl. Good luck, Opie. Sincerely. No a-holes here. Don't wait a couple of days. Fly there now. Visit him while he's still well enough to recognize you and fly right home. Don't stay for the funeral. Life is more important than death. You've got a baby coming. People will understand. And those that won't aren't worth your time. That's what I plan to do. Thanks. You need a contingency plan. Babies do come early. Baby could come now and would actually not be considered early at all. Your wife has non-zero chance of serious complications, trauma, and even death during delivery, as does your child. If she goes into labor while you are there, what is the plan for you to safely get back? No, driving as quickly as you think you safely can to 5 hours back is not a great choice. You being in a hospital after a car accident also means not being there. I do think seeing your grandfather is important, but you need to know exactly what to do if things go sideways ahead of time. And your wife needs the reassurance of what the plan is as well. I was gonna say, if the due date is 2 weeks away, then that could happen any day now, really. Know a few babies who popped up early. I feel for you, Opie. It's a hard situation, but I don't think you'd forgive yourself if something went wrong with the wife either. Update 1. Hi guys. Thanks for the support on this post. You are all right. My wife is the most important person. I took today off and started driving to my grandfather's town around 2.5 hours ago. My wife is at home with my sister-in-law and mother-in-law, and my brother-in-law and her best friend live 5 minutes away from her, so she's fine. She was really happy about this compromise and gave me her go-ahead since she knows how close I was to my grandpa. I'm at a rest stop for lunch right now, and the plan is to get there around 5 in the evening, talk to my grandfather and say goodbye to him, then drive back home and be there around 12 a.m. I was actually speaking to my wife and mother-in-law, and they said it would be really nice if my grandfather picked out my daughter's name as a sort of connection to him for her after he passes on. Thanks. Update 2. I talked to my grandfather. It was super emotional to say the least, but it seemed like he really enjoyed it, as did I. I asked him about naming my daughter, and though he refused and said it wasn't his place at first, he eventually gave us our baby girl's name, Madeline Rose, after my grandma and great-grandma respectively. I'm going back home now, but it seems like my grandpa is going to go pretty soon. I'm glad I got to say goodbye at least. Thanks. Last story. Am I the a-hole for calling an intern at my husband's work a little boy? My 32 female husband, 38 male, is high enough in the company that he works at that he has his own secretary and staff. It is common for me to show up at the office to drop stuff off or go get lunch with him. Recently, I have noticed a new intern, Jack, 22 male. I personally don't think he likes me, but that didn't bother me until today. I went to go drop off some papers for my husband today, It was supposed to be a quick in and out. I have his schedule, so I knew he wasn't in a meeting or anything. In fact, it was his hour lunch break. So I go up the secretary desk and Jack is sitting there. No big deal. I bet he was being trained or just covering for today. I tell him I have some papers to drop off that he left at home. Jack looks at me and says he can take them. I tell him I have to give them to my husband personally since they are important. He tells me no. I give him a look and says it's his lunch break. He is not busy. Jack then tells me to sit down, girl. I was shocked and asked what he said. Same thing. Sit down, girl. My temper is thin at this point, and I called him a little boy that thinks he has power since he is sitting at the front desk when he isn't even a full-time employee. He looked shocked and got all red. And then go in the back, knock on the office door, and there is my husband doing nothing. I leave and Jack wasn't looking at me. I told this story to my friend and she told me he was just doing his job and I was a jerk. So am I the a-hole? I don't want to bring it up to my husband. He can get protective at times. Info. Your wording suggests, but I want to confirm. You told the intern you are married to your husband, right? And or does the intern know that you are married with your husband and are not a stranger? Separately, is this office setting especially secure? Like defense work or other civil service requiring confidentiality/security? I said that I am dropping off paperwork for my husband. Husband and I have been to the office enough time that his staff knows who I am. The security is strict, but I have a pass that allows me to get to my husband's office. It even says family member pass on it. Not day home. The intern had the audacity to tell his boss's wife to sit down, girl? He shouldn't have said that to anyone, let alone you. But you being his boss's wife just makes it way worse. You should absolutely tell your husband. If the kid gets fired, it is 100% his own fault. I don't think it does make it worse. Opie isn't any more important than anyone else, though clearly she thinks she is. But not the a-hole because he shouldn't be addressing anyone like that. I don't think it makes it worse from a morality or being a decent person standpoint. But it's definitely worse for him, if all he was worried about was his job security. Don't call your boss's wife a girl in a dismissive tone if you want to avoid getting fired. Don't call any adult woman a girl, especially in a dismissive tone, if you want to avoid being an a-hole. Not the a-hole. I am often flabbergasted at friends' crazy reactions when stories like this pop up. This kid was not just doing his job. He was being rude and condescending and is likely misogynistic. Who refers to anyone as girl? I check in with your husband, Opie, but I think you handled it perfectly. Not only was he rude and condescending, he was asking for papers that he is not allowed to handle, which is literally failing at his job. He deserves to be formally reprimanded. So lovely of Opie's friends, who don't know anything about this person's job, to assume that he was being competent while Opie was being unreasonable.